are after 12 days. Um, I like the tempo of practice on both sides of the football. I like the physicality in practice. And I've said this before, and it's even more evident right now. I'm very proud of the staff that we hired here, and I think they've got our team where we need to be on day 12, and I'm very happy right now about the job they're doing with the players. Well, we just wanted to make sure that we built some depth, and we developed some depth here, so there's a legitimate commitment to special teams. It's a big part of every practice. Um, if they're not involved in special teams, they won't be involved with offense and defense. So I think there's an understanding here that we're going to emphasize all three facets of the game. And, you know, whether you evaluate last year's season at Sam Houston or you evaluate, um, I evaluate anywhere I've ever been in the past from a special teams or a game standpoint. Uh, every coach on the staff has brought up a scenario where they've been in the past where special teams drastically affected the game. Sometimes, a game could have been won a little sooner in the game, and you give something up in special teams and you let somebody right back in. Other times it's the absolute difference maker between winning and losing. And so I think a good staff gets that message across. I think you get respect with regards to how important special teams are if you treat it the same way you do O&D, and we do. And I think we're getting the focus on in that area, just like we are on offense and defense. And so the progress has been about the same, and we're happy with where it is. It's been kind of a unit-wide progress, which is good. Usually you identify the weak room, and we're addressing that. It's really not. That's not where it is right now. We've got great competition going on in the running back room. We have great competition going on in the quarterback room. Um, we're steady at tight end. We're pretty consistent, steady at tight end. We've seen great improvement in the O line the last 3-4 days. The good thing about this group is you get what you emphasize. And so when we emphasize something either as a team or a unit or with an individual positional room, what we ask of them is that we see that get better, like address what we're emphasizing, and let's take that weak link and move it forward so we can address something else. And right now, because of the character of the locker room, I think we're getting what we emphasize, and so those things have gotten better. I think we're 12 days better than we were when we started camp. And then the receiver room probably started off the slowest, and so they've made the most drastic improvement. So wideouts and O line probably been the biggest improvement in offensive camp so far. So probably the outlook there was a little different. We have a lot of new faces, right? The entire defense from last year is gone, including a lot of the depth. So it's not just the top 11; it's like 15 of them that rotated through and played. So there's a couple of veterans that came back, and they provide a little bit of leadership. Probably the biggest question mark and mystery area was the defensive line. Um, those guys have done a good job of recruiting some depth here, and so we've got some competition there, which is what you want, because obviously you need more than four, right? So we like where that is. Secondary has been solid since the first day of camp, and then Coach Lindsey's handling the linebackers, and Antavius Fish has kind of led that group so far, and it's I don't mean to be overly positive. I just think we've had a steady, consistent improvement through camp. We're still learning our players, right? We have so many faces, so many new faces and names. So we're still in the learning, growing process with some of these new guys. And then it having the others come back, the 22 that came in January, along with the 30 returning guys, we have a little bit more of a feel for where they are and where they stand. And so they're kind of the barometer right now for the new ones. Um, but it seems as though we have a better rhythm in practice. We have a better understanding of what everyone's capable of doing. And I think the depth chart will start to shake out here now between tomorrow and kickoff. I think the only change up will be we'll be smart about how much we do getting closer to camp. It also will change because there's a much greater, and it has the last couple of days, there's a much greater focus on situational football. There's a much better understanding right now than there was 12 days ago of how do we handle third down, how do we handle fourth down, how do we handle 2 minute, how do we handle short yardage, goal line, red zone, low red zone, all of that stuff. So that's the overall emphasis. There's a piece of every practice that's strictly, and we're investing in the situational end of it. And so it's not just knowing the rules of the game. It's understanding what's our philosophy in each aspect of the game. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to be conservative. Um, what are our strengths on offense and defense, and that'll really kind of lead us with where we go. And on a 4th and 4, what do you do, right? You may have a different feel for or a different confidence level with the defense than you do with the offense, or vice versa. And that's actually what we're trying to figure out right now. 4th and 4, am I confident enough to go for it with our offense? Um, and if we don't get it, am I confident enough in not getting it because I trust our defense? Those are actually answers I can't. Those are questions I can't answer yet. But we're getting closer, and we have our checklist of things that need to be done. We need to be on top of for the game. So far, we're on schedule, uh, and you like to think you're never prepared for everything. But I think the things that have a tendency to show up in the game, we'll have done, we'll have experienced it, we'll have practiced it, and so at least there'll be a little bit of muscle memory for each situation. And then the ones that come up, that's called damage control, right? I mean, those are things where you got to make a decision in a split second. Just like when we have a bad play, can a quarterback manage? Sometimes an incomplete's the best thing you can get out of a play, and so that's been the focus, and that'll continue to be the focus from here on in. I haven't yet, but the only reason is in most of the rooms we are rolling through a good number of players, right? So we're probably playing 9, 10 defensive line. We're playing 3 quarterbacks. We're playing 4 running backs in the rotation. We're playing 3 tight ends in the rotation. We're playing 6 receivers in the rotation. We're playing 9 O linemen. We're playing 4 linebackers. We're rolling through a bunch of safeties and corners, and because we just want everybody to get work with the better groups, and it's hard to evaluate, when someone's stuck down there on the third team. So we have been rolling through this week, though. There'll be a little bit of a lockdown. We're going to start thinning it out a little bit and start solidifying some of the definitive positions that have been claimed, and we'll leave those with that group. Because what you want is the starting 11 to 15 on both sides of the ball to be used to playing with each other, to be able to communicate with each other, to have a little bit of a rhythm. So if there's a big difference between the first 12 and the second 12 days, it's more situational, and it's kind of the emphasis on finalizing our depth chart. There's been, I'd say on defense, Antavius Fish has been the guy. Tyler Bailey's added a little to that. Offensively, at times it's been Hunter, at times it's been Mabry at the quarterback position. I think James Dawn and Colt Dietrich have lent a little on the O line and maybe with the overall unit. Those would be the guys right now that I would point to if I said have maybe gone outside of just handling their business and exuded some leadership and helped the others along outside of just their job description. Those are probably the guys right now that have impacted our team in that way the most.